further ado, I'm going to bring on Adam Phillips. He is our president of our company. And Adam, it's good to have you here this afternoon.
Yeah, we put together a lot of different products and services that work well for doctors in many different areas of their practice. But as far as running this business from home, I would say that a very large percentage of our licensees do that. Even the licensees that build a very large business, where they've got people maybe helping them with data entry or maybe some sales reps or whatnot, there's still not really much of a need to get office space or have that high overhead. It can all be done remotely, from different locations because our system is fully cloud-based, so it's easy to do that.
Exactly, and we're going to go through each one of these right now, and you can kind of see that we want to discuss each one of these different services, and I'm sure that many of you have seen this possibly on our website. Some of you may have even seen it through our virtual brochure, but today Adam and I are going to kind of go through these fairly systematically and pausing at each one of them, and we're going to actually be talking about what you're actually going to be able to make on each one of these services. So you might want to get your pens and paper out and start kind of jotting down a few things. We're actually going to show you where you can actually look on if you're going to just do some billing, if you're going to deal with one doctor or two doctors or three doctors in the beginning, you'll see how much money that you'll be able to make on your return on investment. That's certainly what we're going to be talking about today. And really, I think, Adam, when we talk about, what's the potential of a licensee, typically, why don't you talk about real quickly, just on the billing side, within the first year, what are we kind of seeing typically about how many doctors a licensee may get within their first year?
We get that question a lot, like how, the biggest question being, how do I get clients at all? And then the next question is, how many clients can I sign up and can I manage? And there's a lot of different, people have a lot of different goals with this business on how much money they want to make. They also have a lot of different views on how hard they want to work in this business. Some people don't want to work that hard. So I would say typically, on average, if it's just maybe one or two people running the business, like a spouse or a business partner or something, we're looking at signing up between 2 to 4 doctors per year. Was that what you were asking me? How many per year? Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be showing you specifically the actual numbers on revenue for each of these services that we have, based on the number of doctors that you may have, typically within a given year of business.
Yeah, and Adams, we're going to be very conservative on the numbers here. We don't want to explode the numbers. Certainly, we understand this business just as well as our licensees, because we work with them on a daily basis. And so as we are going to go through each one of these categories here, whether it's iClaim all the way down to the Physician's Toolbox, which is a very interesting part of our business, because it's kind of where a lot of these different other services that we don't have as showcased here on each one of these others. Some of those we'll talk about there. Each one of those can be a money maker too as well for you. So, but we're going to start off conservatively here because we don't want to ever, tell you, hey, you're going to make so much money over a certain amount of time. This is a relationship business, and each one of these services, as those that are going to be coming to training class next week, each one of these services can be a door opener. Everything from Quick Collect to Choice Pay to Audit Guard to CodeWrite to iDocs Now, AutoCard, whatever it might be on one of these, is usually typically getting one of our licensees in the door. And so that's one of the things that we certainly want to get you through that first client. So, but most of our licensees start off and work with the whole billing platform, which is iClaim. And Adam, I know that through the years, I mean, you've been in this business along with Patrick and the rest of the group here for really a long time. I mean, you've seen everything from what would consider to be server-based type software all the way to where we are today about iClaim. kind of give us an overview about what what iClaim is all about, first of all.
Yeah, you're right. My parents started this company back in '94, so we've been doing this over 20 years now. And I've been on board full time, oh shoot, I think 8, 9 years ago maybe. I lost track. But yeah, I mean our technology has greatly evolved since the beginning of the company, and the relationships that we have with some of our technology partners in this iClaim system and some of the other stuff that you'll see like EMRX is absolutely second to none. The partners that we have that we work with that help us on the back end with development and training and some some of the technology are light years ahead of what most companies are doing in the industry right now. And it especially in the medical industry, you have to be very nimble. You have to be very ready to to change a system if the government says, well, now you have to file a claim this way, or now you have to do this, now you have to do this. So they have a lot of rules and regulations that they're always changing, and you got to really stay on top of it. And you've got to have a partner, a business partner, a technology partner that stays on top of it, and that's what we've got with this cloud-based iClaim system.
Yeah, so the iClaim system, and again, kind of what separates this from all other billing systems that are out there is what you don't see. And we don't even have a flyer to give you for that. But what you don't see is what's behind it, and really what the engine that drives everything is that we own our own clearinghouse. So for a lot of you, you may not know what a clearinghouse is, but a lot of people ask us, and Adam, just a few hours ago, I was doing a demo for someone, and the question came up, who is your competition? And it kind of giggled a little bit because we really don't have a competition because of that differentiator of owning your own clearinghouse. I think as you said, this is the one that kind of sets the standard, so to say.
Yeah, we probably a bigger question that we get is how am I going to, as a licensee, be any better than other people out there trying to do medical billing and run a company that does medical billing. And this iClaim is a big part of it. The efficiency of this system is going to make just by nature of you using this system, the doctor is going to be able to see almost instant results. They're going to be able to log in, and 24/7 they can see exactly where their money is at any given moment, and know that that the company, their billing company, is doing the right thing. But kind of taking it back to that slide that you showed earlier, we don't want to overwhelm everybody with all of the different services that we've got available, but we want you to know that we're going to be talking about all of these different services and solutions. And so this is a big part of what is going to set you apart from the competition, because if you start Googling medical billing in your area, which you should be doing, just to kind of get an idea of what's in your area, you're going to come up with a lot of results. Sometimes you'll come up with a lot of results, and you'll see if you start doing more research on those results, a lot of them are smaller companies, maybe just somebody working from home that has, they bought their own software, maybe they built their own website, and you can kind of just tell that it's a home-based kind of deal. And a lot of those companies that you're competing against, all they do is billing. They don't have any of these other products and services. So you've really got a lot of arrows in your quiver, if you will, and that's why we call the people that go through our program, they become certified medical revenue managers. So they're much more than just medical billers, and that's kind of what we're talking about today, is all the different solutions that you can offer.
And Patrick is working on some information to provide. What happens if I just wanted to go out and start my own medical billing company, and I don't want to go through ABS because I know that the investment is $25,000, and don't want to pay that $25,000. I can go find some other pieces and try to put this thing together. Folks, the amount of time that you can invest, and you have to consider your time. Then the payments for each one of these others, not even considering the cost on other clearinghouses of what you might be paying for that, or whether you're going to develop all the different services that we have here. We're going to actually show that in a future presentation, but I say let's go ahead and get started again right back on the value of what you actually can make here. So we first of all talked about iClaim, and again, this is the billing platform. And certainly this is where the bulk of your money can certainly be made, as you'll see through here, along with the electronic medical record system, which is EMRX. And EMRX is the electronic medical records platform that the doctor is going to be using. So as the doctor uses this system here, and if they're, especially if they're using it on an iPad, all these buttons that you can see there on that screen there can literally be touched there. So just to start any of these visits with these patients, the doctor would just click on these times just using their finger there, like from an iPad. However, when we combine both of those together, we want to kind of talk about what the typical annual revenue is per doctor. Now, some of you may have seen this on the virtual brochure. We're just kind of bringing some of this over to kind of share with you. So we've brought both of these together because typically, Adam, if a doctor is going to go with iClaim, they're probably going to go with EMRX. But before we even say that, I know what a lot of questions are coming up with people says, what if the doctor already has a billing platform or electronic medical records platform? How are our licensees winning those accounts there?
Well, just so you guys are clear for people who may not be quite clear on what the difference between these two products are, electronic medical records is basically for doctors to use instead of paper. So like when you go to the doctor, back in the day, several years ago, it would just be, the doctor would have a clipboard with a piece of paper, and he'd be asking you the different questions about how do you feel and that sort of thing, and they would be writing it down on a piece of paper. Well, this is completely paperless version of that system. So in other words, the doctor would have an iPad now instead of a clipboard, and so that's what this electronic medical record system does. It helps the doctors get the information into a system where it's easier to maintain. They don't have any paperwork anymore, and then that information in that system can be transmitted instantly over to iClaim, and iClaim is the billing system where you actually can submit claims to the insurance company, and also the staff can use the scheduling program, and there's all kinds of stuff in there. So that's to clarify for those who weren't clear on that. But and this is a screenshot in that monitor right there of some information that you'll see on our virtual brochure. So if you want to get more detail and you haven't seen our virtual brochure yet, definitely go sign up for access to that. Yeah, click that orange button on our main website, and you can actually go dig into all these facts and figures that we're going to be showing you today and learn more about it.
Yeah. So right now we want to kind of direct your attention to this where it says income potential on our website, and you'll see where it says medical billing income calculator. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and that's going to get us over to this particular screen right here. Now, once you're in here, certainly we always want to point out that these are just projections. These are forecasting possibly what you can make here by utilizing the electronic medical records platform and the iClaim platform to do the doctor's billing. So, Adam, I'm going to kind of just point around here, but why don't you kind of take us on a tour about how to plug in these numbers and what these numbers are going to generate here.
Yeah, so after this webinar, if you have a chance, go out to our website, absystems.com, like he's showing you here, and you can click on Income Potential. And the numbers that we have in there are actually based on some numbers that we've gotten from real licensees, real numbers. So in other words, you can just start by clicking that Submit button on the numbers that are there, and it will give you a result of, I believe it's $31,000 a year or something like that. Yeah, $31,200 a year based on those numbers that were in there. So you can change up the number of providers, the number of doctors. You can change, how long they're in the office, how many days they work per week, and a couple other options there. You can also change the percentage. Now we put 6% in there because that's kind of right in the middle of what our licensees are seeing right now nationwide. They're getting about anywhere from around 5% up to even 10% in some cases. So that's why we put 6 in there. But if you want to be really conservative, you could change that number to a lower percentage. And then average claim amount of $100, that's based on like a typical family practitioner type of account where their average claim dollar amount is pretty low. So that's why we put in 100. Now, this system works for virtually any kind of specialty you can think of. So, if you sign up maybe a chiropractor, then you're dealing with claims that are even less money than that. But, on the other hand, you could sign up a specialist, a surgeon or something where their claim dollar amounts are very, very high, and you're still getting a percentage of that. So go in there and play with the numbers and see what you come up with, see what you need. I guess the point of that whole thing is to see how many doctors you would need to kind of replace the income that you have right now. That's the point.
Yeah. So as Adam says, you could go from as low as $100, dollars per the reimbursement to some of the bigger numbers, and average specialist, anything like a podiatrist or a typical cardiologist, when they see a patient, their reimbursement is going to be $200, $225. So you could play with some of those numbers and kind of get a feel for what those numbers are. But again, we want to be very conservative on our numbers here. And so one of the first numbers that you can actually write down during this webinar is this 31,200, because we're going to try to keep a running total as we go through this here. So put that number down, and we're going to kind of go back and start looking at these other services as we go along. And a lot of times, these other services that we're going to be talking about, some of the people may have not even heard of, know that we can do that. So pulling all of this together, just on this first portion of it, the iClaim EMRX, you can kind of see that graduating scale there of a typical annual revenue. One client can produce anywhere from 25 to 31,000, basically, is what we saw there. 3 clients is going to produce 75 all the way up to 5, and typically, that grows as time goes on. And I love this because a lot of people ask about this question: well, how long is it going to take me to do a claim? And based upon 1 to 3 minutes per claim, you're talking about, on average, one doctor is going to run you about a couple of hours of data entry per day. So that kind of gives you a typical day's look at what could be done. So three clients a day, you're probably looking anywhere from 5 to 6 hours a day on that. All right, moving on. Now we're going to talk about some of these other portions about the services that we have here. Adam, what is AutoCard? I'm going to just start off with that. What is AutoCard?
Okay, so this is a service that you can use to help your clients promote their businesses, and I say it that way because you can use this for not only medical clients but general type industries as well. Anyone that has clients that they want to reach out to and stay in touch with, they can use this service. So what it is it's a web-based system, as you can see on that screenshot there, where you're managing all this on a website. But what it does is it actually physically sends out different things in the mail, the U.S. Postal Service. So postcards, greeting cards. If it's a medical client, you can send out checkup cards and different things like that to remind them to come in, for a checkup, wellness visits, things like that. And we actually have a lot of different campaigns already plugged into the system for you. So your doctors can use this to bring in more patients, as well as you as a licensee can use this AutoCard service for your billing business, so that when you start making contacts with people in the industry, you can plug them into the AutoCard system, and literally you're just putting in a name and an email address, and you click go, and it will actually put them on a campaign where you can specify when they get a piece of something in the mail. But they get this campaign, every couple of weeks or every couple of months or however you want to do it, where they're reminded about you and your services and what you do and what you provide. So this is a big part of proper follow-up, which is very, very important in this industry in getting clients, because we have a very specific client acquisition cycle, a process of educating the doctors, doing the demos, giving them the proposal and the agreements. And after you've gone through all of that, a lot of doctors they may not be ready to sign right then and there, so you've got to keep in touch with them, and this is one way to do that on an automated basis.
Yeah, and like Adam said, this could be used for you as help building your business automatically, be in front of that doctor continually. Because, like you said, we've already got built-in campaigns. We've got not only postcards that can go out, but actual greeting cards that will go out. And then plus that will actually show the doctor also how that they can help build their business, remind people of their annual physicals or whatever it might be, or time for immunization. So this can actually start for those particular doctors. Now, with that said, what we like to kind of do here, because this is what we see as an average here, and that is typically in that first year, a particular licensee is going to sign up anywhere from 6, maybe even more doctors. So we're going to kind of stick with the 6 doctors. And if they're sending this out, each of these doctors are sending out 200 cards per month to these to their patients as reminders. Certainly we've seen databases bigger than that. What this is actually going to return to you is approximately about $1,200 per month of what you're going to be making. Now, the fun thing and part about this is, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about from here on out, is that when the doctors start on these programs, Adam, I think that a lot of some of our licensees call this becomes basically their mailbox money, because they're not actually having to do anything. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we're very much into ongoing residual income with this business. And so with all of these ancillary services that we're going to be talking about today, you make a residual income on all of them. And for the most part, you're not doing any of the work either with a lot of these services. So, and just to clarify for everybody on the webinar, we're taking you through a typical licensee that's in business for 1 year. And so in 1 year, typically, one person that's just running the business by themselves sees an average of about 3 doctors signed up for the billing service, which is iClaim, and they see roughly between 3 and 6 doctors on the ancillary services per year. So that's why these numbers that you see here, when we talk about the iClaim billing account, we've got 3 doctors plugged in here with the income for that, and then all the other ancillary services we show 6 providers, 6 doctors. So yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's what
and again, these numbers can be shortened, largened. We're just trying to set some type of what we see as a normal turnaround for a typical licensee. And what some of the things that they can actually add up. And some of these, they may not sign every doctor upon as well. But again, we're just trying to present to you, because we get asked a lot, well, what if I use every one of these? Yeah. So here's how to look at this. You're the accelerator as the licensee. You push it as far as you want to, back it off as much as you want. But again, these are just typical numbers, certainly just forecasting some projections here on your return on your investment. So we just want to point that out to you as well. Yeah, so that's a little bit about AutoCard. Again, this is and again, this could be used for you. And I think, Adam, it's not just locked in just to doctors either. I mean, this could be used for any other types of businesses as well.
Yeah, it works for any industry. But we do have campaigns specifically for medical providers in there already. But there are a lot of campaigns already in the AutoCard system for general businesses as well as these materials that you see here on the left, these little flyers, pictures that we have in there. They're in postcard format in the AutoCard system as well, for you to put doctors in and use the system for you.
Exactly. Great question is coming from Tim. And before we get too far off of the iClaim EMRX portion of it, Tim's asking this question. I'm going to ask this to you, Adam. Does ABS sell this software directly to family practices or to doctors?
That's a good question, Tim. We get that one a lot. We actually don't market to doctors at all. We have had a few doctors who were retiring from their practice, and they know that there's good money to be made in the medical billing industry. So they've gone through our program because they want to be a licensee and they want to offer the services to other colleagues that they may know. But we're not selling software. We're not selling the system directly to doctors at all. So we feel like that would be kind of a conflict of interest, for
Good.
our licensees. So no, we don't do
Tim,
that.
thanks for. There's some other questions that have come in, and some of those questions we actually want to wait towards the end because we're going to actually get to some of those. So I see some questions in from Lynn and Maria and Shirley. We're going to actually get to all your questions here just shortly. So hang in there. We haven't forgotten about your questions that you've already typed in. All right. So again, talking about the auto card, and this is what you're going to see on our website or through what's called the virtual brochure. And so you'll kind of see this as we talk about this, going through this. So you can kind of see that some of the charges on per each of these postcards or greeting cards are going to be this, but typically what you're going to make on that is anywhere from $1 to $2 per card that actually goes out. So again, you can see here an average size doctor's office will have anywhere from 5 to 1,000 patients in their database, and you can see here we were actually very conservative on the amount of patients that a doctor would actually send. We actually said 200 per doctor. So we're trying to really press this down enough to set some correct expectations and certainly some targeted numbers that you can actually look like. So this information that you're seeing here inside this screenshot is what's on our virtual brochure. So that's why we wanted to show that to you. Now, Quick Collect, Adam. All right, a lot of people ask about doctors' bad debts. And I know this is one of those services that actually have come up from our licensees, and one of these that we've actually added to, and we probably added this, several years back. But I think a lot of people do ask about, are we going to work as a collection agency? You want to kind of talk about that they, as a licensee, will not be a collection agency, but how they can actually go recover a doctor's old money.
Sure. Yeah. So before I get into this service at all, let me just state, this is another of our ancillary services that you can offer, or you don't have to offer it at all. It's completely optional. It's just something, again, it's just something where if a doctor mentions to you that they have, overdue accounts, they have a lot of debt, they have a lot of people that aren't paying, and they want to do something about it, that's what this is. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is another service where you're not doing any of the work, okay? So this is it's very similar to a collection agency. It's a technology partner that we've partnered with that actually does the work. So they do the phone calls and the letter writing and all that other stuff. So you don't have to do any of that stuff. But the good news is you actually do get to make money on what they end up collecting. And the reason they're different, if you look at that little chart, they're different because they actually have a higher recovery rate, and they actually charge a lot less money based on how long it takes to collect that debt. So that's why this company that we work with is much more efficient than a typical collection agency. And the thing is, they charge less than traditional collection agencies, far less in some cases. I mean, traditional collection agencies can charge 50% or more of what they end up collecting. So a lot of doctors, sometimes they'd rather just write it off than have to deal with that. But when they look at the numbers on this Quick Collect service, a lot of them like to use it because they can get, more of their money back in their pocket.
Exactly. So now you can see actually the revenue that can actually be made here on here. So you can see typically, if you've got a doctor that's trying to collect old money here, you can see, typically a licensee can make about $4,500 per one client per year. So if we kind of, again, average this out again with the 6 doctors. Now, remember, as Adam said, this is not a service that you have to go and print out or make phone calls. This is an automatic system. Again, I think, man, Adam, I think there was a couple of people that we know of, some of our licensees, this is all they did because they didn't have to create a claim. They didn't have to worry about codes, medical codes, or anything else like this. They just went out and sold this particular product for their particular business line. So, again, typically 6 doctors, each with 30 accounts. Now, we're talking about 30 old-aged accounts per month. Can generate about $518 per month on that particular portion of it. So again, you think, well, that's a little low, but you can think about it as you go on and you add more doctors collecting more money on top of everything. This is just scraping the surface with this, because there are a lot of doctors out there that can actually utilize this type of service. So as we're looking at this, we're talking about 6 doctors running about 30 accounts each. Again,
And that's 518 a month revenue to the licensee, right, Eric?
that's correct. That's
for
two.
doing nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you found 6 doctors and they had 30 patients that were behind in their collections on a per month basis, this is what you're typically going to be able to make. And we know from past experience of working with some of our licensees, there are some doctors out there that would love to collect some of that money, and they've got way more than 30 accounts there. So again, we're trying to be very, very conservative here as we're looking at this. All right, so again, write that number down, because we want to get what your annual would be on everything that we've got up to so far. Now, Choice Pay. Choice Pay is a service that is similar to Quick Collect. However, here's the difference. Quick Collect is trying to chase the money. Choice Pay is being proactive about getting the money. Adam, take it from there. Let's talk a little bit about Choice Pay and how this is going to be helpful, especially with deductibles being higher than what most people are accustomed to.
Yeah, I mean, simply put, it's a web-based system that allows a patient to pay the portion that they owe that's not covered by insurance. So they can go online, they can set up a payment plan, they can pay with their bank account or credit card or whatever, and get it done that way. So yeah, it allows them to kind of break it up into smaller monthly payments if they can't pay it all back at one time. So that's what it helps them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they can do that online directly, and it's very helpful. And the way I like to look at it, again, this is putting proactive money in the doctor's account on a regular basis and helping that doctor get paid. And with some people, they have strictly gone cash pay. So this is a great way, and typically a way of helping those doctors collect as well. Now, every time that patient would pay a portion of their bill to the doctor, you also, as a licensee, are going to get a residual income on that all the time. So again, we're looking at, it says here, ABS licensees typically charge, $300 to $400 as a setup. Again, that's just set up to get the doctor on there. But on an ABS licensee typically charges about $1 per transaction and 5% of the volume. So you can kind of see how this looks here. So typically with one client, we're talking about with one doctor per year, that could be about $3,000 over the year. So again, if we're looking at this with our 6 doctors, and those 6 doctors have 200 patients each on Choice Pay, just paying a portion of that on a monthly basis, on a per month basis, this could generate about $2,400 a month. Again, automatic money to you. Again, you're not having to file anything. You're not having to wait for the insurance to pay the doctor, and then you're billing back behind the doctor and invoice behind the doctor. Adam, again, this is one of those other services that can be a great door opener for a particular licensee that's trying to get a doctor. But however, this is a good one that really doesn't take up any time during the day to actually make this kind of money on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these services are really good door openers. And I hope you guys, I mean, obviously you're seeing that taken individually, each one of these ancillary services may not be huge money makers, but that's not the point. The point is you have many, many different solutions for different needs that doctors may have. And, when you get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 doctors using these ancillary services, it adds up. When you add them up together, it does add up. And we're going to show you that at the end of this webinar.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it with Choice Pay. We're going to move on to some information that I think a lot of brand new people kind of getting into this business, and that's all about the codes. Now, the first one we're going to talk about here is about Audit Guard. Now, Adam, kind of catches up to why a doctor's office would even need something called Audit Guard. What's this all about?
Well, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the industry right now. A lot of different rules and regulations. Affordable Care Act, meaningful use, ICD-10 coding. I mean, there's all kinds of craziness going on. One of the things that's going on is the government has hired what's called recovery audit contractors, or RAC auditors. And what these people do is they kind of show up to an office, a medical practice. Hey, surprise, we're here. We're going to audit you and make sure that you're doing everything right as far as filing to Medicare, for example. And if there's anything that the practice is not doing properly, if not every single T is crossed and I is dotted, they could be fined serious amounts of money. And these RAC auditors are actually paid a commission based on the problems that they find. So they're highly motivated to find stuff that's wrong.
Right.
So it's a really big deal. I mean, we're talking, what are some of the fines? Like $250,000 per incident, or whatever they call it. It's a lot.
Here's how it would be. Let's just say a doctor, we're going to try to bring it down into basic layman's terms. When the doctor finishes his visit or her visit, there is a code that doctor puts at what's called a certain level of visit, either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. It's that simple. And 1 being the lowest reimbursement, 5 being the highest reimbursement. And what's been the reason why these auditors are going out, especially for Medicare, what they have found is that doctors are overcoding of what they've actually documented in their visit with that patient. So instead of charging a level 2 visit, they may be charging that Medicare level 3 visit and not supporting with proper documentation. And so that's what this whole audit guard will do. We can actually do what's basically called a pre-audit for these doctors. So here is another good typical door opener for these doctors. I mean, a lot of doctors, you could knock on their door and say, when was the last time you had Medicare do an audit on you, or any of the insurance companies? And they may say, man, I hope I never get audited. Well, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So with this particular service with Audit Guard, you as the medical billing company, as that full revenue cycle management company, you talk about really bringing it to the table to these doctors. You can say our team can literally do what would look like a Medicare audit, and let's see if you're within the numbers where you need to be. And you can see here, per this portion of it, you can see there's a quality score that comes out and everything. So let's talk about what kind of money you could make on this, because this in and of itself, this whole system that we're talking about could literally be its own business in and of itself. So if you look at this, you're thinking, okay, $750 per year per one audit, but my goodness, the amount of doctors that need this. So again, we're going to typically bring it down to at least 6 doctors here on what we're talking about here. And let's just say that each of these doctors does an audit at least twice a year. So you can kind of see here the best way that we could pull this out was take those 6 doctors times 2 audits per year. So basically what we're doing is 1 audit per month for each of these doctors. So if one doctor does one in January, we won't look at that and do that again until maybe June or July of the part of the year. And so this will bring in at least $750 a month approximately for each of these audits. But if you get into a clinic where there may be 10 or 15 doctors at a time, this could be very, very big for them. And Adam, what I like about this is because some feedbacks from people that we ask here on the webinar, what if a doctor already has a billing company, or what if they already have a billing system or an EMRX system? These ancillary portions of what we're talking about, Adam, I don't think any other billing company does this kind of medical revenue cycle. I'll get her. It's been a long day. They just don't have all these services.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have not only this Audit Guard service, but we've got some other similar things that we're not even talking about on the webinar today that are available to licensees that help practices get back on track and make sure that they're doing everything, right. Because there's a lot of doctors that they're not purposefully trying to be fraudulent, but they are, just because of lack of knowledge or lack of undertrained staff or who knows what. So yeah, this audit guard thing is very helpful for them. I mean, does it guarantee that they won't ever get audited? No, they could still get audited from Medicare, but if they do and they've already done this audit guard program, the chances of being fined are very slim compared to not doing it at all. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, extremely a big deal. And coupled with that, again, we want to kind of show you a little bit how this report looks like in an overall. This is a sample orthopedic group that was reviewed, and the sampling of where it says the sample size of how many claims that were actually processed and reviewed, or how many charts were actually reviewed and looked at. And these are all done by certified professional coders that know exactly what to do. Coupled with that, again, is this whole part about coding. And again, this is one of those great areas where you, as a brand new ABS licensee, can literally walk into a doctor's office and literally know and see more what you probably know more about coding than the doctor does at this point, because it's not that you know coding. What you know about the coding is that a lot of doctors are not coding properly. Yeah. And this is where, on one end, where we talked about on the audit guard, where this can kind of identify whether doctors are what's called overcoding. This can actually show doctors where they're actually undercoding. Now, Adam, talk to us about what that means about undercoding here.
Well, undercoding is, I mean, I don't want to get too technical for all the people on this call, but it's basically they're doing certain things when they treat the patient. They're doing certain things or not doing certain things in that process, and all of that stuff adds up to more or less reimbursement based on what they've done. So that's basically what we're talking about. Now, let's take a step back. You talk about coding. The big question that we get a lot from people is, I thought I have to know coding to do this. So this service actually kind of takes that aspect of our licensees having to know hardly anything about coding at all, because we have certified coders who have already been certified. They've already gone through 6 months of school or whatever it is. They're certified in ICD-9. They're certified in the new ICD-10 codes. So that's why our licensees, they consider themselves the owners of the business, and they have people that do, coding and things like that for them if necessary. A lot of your clients aren't even going to need the help of coders at all, because they do know what codes they want to use, and they're going to send those to you to put them into the system. So I just wanted to clarify that for people. This coding service, you can offer it. It's good to know that you can promote yourself as a certified coding company without you yourself having to go through 6 months of coding school.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is going to put you well ahead of the game. Now, each one of these services that we're talking about here, in our 5 days of training class that we hold here, like the one that we're going to do next week and then the one that we're going to do in April, we're going to go through each one of these and, again, talk to you about how they work, how you'll make the proposals to the doctor, and, again, some of the things that you're going to be able to do, again, as a medical revenue specialist. That's what we want to put you out there in front of. And again, this is the typical reports that you're going to be able to see here with CodeWright. And you see what you're going to do basically is collect from the doctor their files or their visits that they've had with their patients, and you'll turn this in via a secured website to upload this to the coders. And then at that point, then they're going to take this. They're going to put all this stuff together, and between Adam and me, we wouldn't even know where to begin by looking at this.
That's too many numbers, Eric. You're making my brain hurt. That's too many numbers.
It's just going to show all these numbers, and this is what's going to understand for the doctor, which is going to turn into more revenue for the doctor in there. However, let's talk about bringing it down to how we're going to make money.
The money.
Okay. Again, 6 doctors. Each of those doctors wants to do a review of 200 patients per month. Approximately $1,200 a month here that you're going to be able to make by utilizing CodeWright. And a lot of doctors still need help with their coding. So again, that's another number that you're going to be able to write down. I think we've got two more services that we kind of want to go through here. And then we're going to kind of wrap it all up and kind of put it somewhat of a bow on this as we kind of get through this. But again, you can see here a typical CodeWrite revenue. One client can produce on a yearly basis for you about $3,600 per year per doctor on CodeWrite. So there you go. There you got a little bit of a graduated scale there as well, as you can see that. All right, iDocs Now. When we're talking about iDocs Now, we're talking about the document management of all those files that you see in that doctor's office. Now, this is separate from electronic medical records. This is so separate. This is taking all of their current folders and then getting those digitized and then having those up on a secure platform. Adam, talk a little bit about the iDocs Now and how it can be very specifically used for doctors. But again, this is one of those other services that could actually be used for other different types of services.
Well, the way I like to describe this service is it's for all of those historical records that doctors aren't accessing on a daily basis. So they've got a lot of filing cabinets full of old patients and years and years and years of patient data that they're probably not going to really need to ever look at on a regular basis. So that's what iDocs Now is for, is they can actually use this system to scan all those documents and upload them into the cloud. You hear that new term, the cloud, so that they can actually get rid of all of those filing cabinets. And what that does is it actually frees up space for them to, and a lot of times they're able to have a new exam room where they can bring in more patients and more revenue. So you're able to upload the documents and you can tag them and I forget what it's called, but you can
redact them.
Redact them, and you can put certain things on every document so that it's very easy to search for and find and review. And so that's what this is for. But like Eric mentioned, this is not limited to medical at all. This is another one of our services that you can offer to any sector, especially ones that have lots of paper that they want to get rid of, like government, education, different industries like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Adam hit it right off the bat. Typically a doctor needs to keep their files for 7 years, and if you can imagine over a year's time, in each one of those 7 years, that's a lot of files to create to keep. And real estate, as we all know, is expensive. So whether it's real estate there in that doctor's office, or if they're having to secure it off premises, now when they take those records out of the doctor's office, now they could be violating what's called, many of us know about those HIPAA violations. And then, Adam, I swear to you, I know one doctor that actually had all of her medical records like this in the back of her yard in one of those sheds in the backyard. That's not good.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's not a good place to store those medical records. So you need a secured place and a great place to be able to put this. iDocs Now is that way. Again, here's what you're going to be able to make off of that. And again, we're talking about one client per year. And now we're talking about whether this is a doctor, a school, government basis, whatever it might be, you're talking about one client per year. And again, if we took each one of these doctors, have each one of them have at least one account there per month, you're going to make $600 per month on top of that as well. So again, we try to add up everything here. Now, here's the wild card. That's the only way I can put it. We've got a service here and the flyer for Physicians Toolbox. And Adam, I truly do call this the wild card box, because this could be just anything. Explain what we mean by the Physicians Toolbox.
Yeah, let's go through this one real briefly because we're right up on the hour. We've got to answer all these questions coming in. But basically, this is a place where we put all of the other services that our licensees have access to that are not part of our main suite of products. So, basically, we want our licensees to promote themselves almost as a one-stop shop, if you will, for anything that a doctor needs outside of practicing medicine. So there's a lot of other things that we haven't really even touched on, like credentialing or HIPAA compliancy. We have a service called HIPAA Guard where they can make sure that they're doing everything to be HIPAA compliant. That's a very difficult thing to manage for some practices. Transcription services, appointment reminders, There's all kinds of stuff in there. So basically, if a doctor calls you up and says, hey, I'm looking for this service, even if you have no idea what they're even talking about, you should say, yeah, I can do that for you. I can provide that to you. And then you call ABS and you say, what in the heck is this doctor asking us about? I don't know what this means. Can you help me? And most likely we can put you in touch with a service or maybe a licensee that performs a service. Who knows? But we can find a solution for that doctor for whatever they're asking about.
Exactly. I really didn't realize it was almost the top of the hour. This hour has flown by. So, folks, we have gone through every one of the different services.
So I've got a question here from Lynn is asking about the May training dates. I'm sorry, we don't have the May training dates down yet. We only have the April date locked in, which is the 13th through the 17th, I think. It's a Monday through Friday for the April class. So get with your rep, your ABS rep. Check your emails for an email from your ABS rep, and they can get you that May date whenever that gets closer, and we get that locked in. Let's see, we've got one here from Maria. Maria is asking, will there be a dedicated representative for each service to support licensees on how the service works? That's a good question. We like you to think of ABS support as in terms of, oh, hey, there's Eric. You there? Oh, I guess he's still logging in. We want you to think of ABS as your primary support for anything that you need for any service. So in other words, you only have to remember one email address and one phone number for ABS support for all the different services, and it makes it easier for you. And if we need to put you in touch with a technology partner or help you with some specific issue with one specific service where we have to get our technology partners involved, we will certainly put you in touch with them, and you have direct access to those companies as well. So hopefully that answers that question.
Folks, as we wanted to kind of wrap up here, I don't know if Adam, you got to talk about this, but we want to kind of bring all this together in a value package. And then we'll get back to those questions here just real quickly. So total value, if we're using one doctor on iClaim and EMRX plus 6 doctors on each of the other services, if we took all the values that we met with earlier, on a typical 1-year return on your investment, this is what you're going to make, $132,896. All right, Adam, am I still coming through?
Yeah, you're coming through. I was just waiting for you to finish up there. Yeah, so basically, all of the services that we showed you, plus the doctor that had the iClaim billing service, that's what you're looking at in annual revenue. And the only service where you're doing any of the work is the iClaim service. All of the other services that we showed you that you're making money on, again, you're not doing any of the work. We have technology partners and ABS that does a lot of that ancillary stuff for you. So this is kind of showing you can work smarter, not harder, by signing up a lot of those ancillary services, doctors on those ancillary services in that way. So those are just some rough numbers that we put together. This is not a guarantee that this is what's going to happen to you. I mean, some people make a lot more than that. Some people make a lot less than that. So it just depends on what your goals are, how hard you want to work, and that sort of thing. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Now we're going to kind of go forward a little bit, and if we take Adam started off with the webinar saying that within the first year, most licensees will end up with anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 to 6 doctors in the first year. So again, we want to kind of make this into 3 doctors. So if we go to 3 doctors and we're looking at the same thing, same 6 doctors on each of the other services, now you're knocking on the door of $200,000 a year, and only billing for 3 doctors and allowing all the other services to kind of work in the background. And this is the kind of typical money that you could actually be making on your investment with American Business Systems. And you can see that certainly within the first year, you can certainly make your return on your investment back with the $25,000 there here with American Business Systems.
It's simple. We believe so much in our live training that we do here in Dallas. It's a 5-day class. We believe so much in it and the quality that you get from it that we offer a money-back guarantee. So for the people that actually come to Dallas, you have to pay the license fee, fill out our agreement, and then you come to the training in Dallas. sit through the whole class, learn everything there is to learn about the program, how we help you get clients, how the services work, so on and so forth. If there's anything that doesn't make sense to you and you just don't feel comfortable and feel like, well, maybe this, I don't think I'm going to be able to, put enough attention into this business like I thought I was. Any reason at all, you can ask for your money back at the end of the class, and we'll give you 100% of your money back. That's how much we believe in the class.